Hello, everyone. If you could just let me know in the chat if you can see and hear me, and then we'll get stuck in once we know that's okay. So, hello, Matt. Hello, Anthony. Hello, Larry. Hello, Dave. Hello, George. Hello, David, Vince, Michael, John. Welcome, everyone. Lawrence, Darren. Yeah, if you can just drop, there's a slight delay in the chat, but if you can just let me know if you can hear me and see me. Thanks, Dave. Oh, Mel's in the chat. We'll be speaking to Mel in a minute, obviously. I'll do a little intro for him and then we'll get stuck in. So all good, no problems. It looks like you can hear and see me. So let me get my little slideshow intro presentation up and then we will get stuck in. So that should be working. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Duncan Morland and I am here to be your host for our second First Class Racing live Q&A. And let's get stuck in. Here's why I think you should be very excited about chatting to Mel today. 2022 was a pretty rough year for everybody. Investors, savers, ordinary people like me and you. And so far, 2023 hasn't been too great either. Last year, stock markets crashed. Crypto markets took a big fat belly flop. Energy prices are still through the roof and doing their best to get to the moon, which is alarming. Mortgage rates are having a go. And if you remember, the government not wanting to be left out threw the pound along with the UK economy off a very high cliff. Probably just for fun, but we'll never know. Yet, amidst all of this money-swallowing financial chaos, one man has been steadily, confidently printing money for his members. Not literally printing money, I don't think, not as far as I know anyway. But I'm talking about horse racing tipster Mel G, who over the last 18 months has helped his first-class racing members more than double their betting banks. In other words, turn 500 quid into more than 1,000, 1,000 pounds into more than 2,000 pounds, 5,000 into more than 10,000 pounds, and 10,000 into more than 20,000 pounds. Basically, we all know what doubling your money means. Better yet, since the last time we did this Q&A back in October, Mel has simply continued his winning streak. And today we're going to chat to Mel to find out exactly how he did it. We'll cover Mel's betting history, including the decades he spent losing money, the specifics of his first-class racing strategy, including running through a real selection or two. We can have a chat about that. His approach to the Cheltenham Festival, which is coming up next month. Spoiler alert, Mel's 2022 Cheltenham results were stellar. And then we'll open up the floor to let you ask Mel any and every question you have about his approach or the first-class racing service. Plus, we'll also give you the chance to join Mel and his happy members in the first-class racing community if you'd like to. But before I bring on Mel in just a moment, I'm going to say some stuff he's far too polite to say, which is we told you so. When we launched first-class racing in July 2021, we used this headline: why are all these horse racing tipsters saying they'll lose you money? And we listed loads of tipsters who were recommending 100 point, 200 point, even 1,000 point starting banks, which is pretty crazy. Because that's basically them saying to you, hey, we have no confidence in our selections, so you're going to need a really big starting bank to absorb our really long losing streaks. Mel, on the other hand, promised an alternative, a profitable approach to betting that has a low frequency of bets with 1 or 2 per week, a high win strike rate, so there's no crazy losing streaks. And thanks to that high strike rate, only needs a small point bank of just 20 points. And guess what? Mel delivered exactly what he promised. Over the last 18 months, Mel's first-class racing service has averaged about 1 bet per week, achieved a seriously impressive win strike rate of 45%, double what most horse racing tipsters can do, and never had a drawdown bigger than 8 points, keeping that 20-point bank nice and safe. Oh, yeah. And as I teased a minute ago, His Cheltenham results have been pretty phenomenal too. Last year, he tipped 7 bets, of which 5 won and 2 lost, for a strike rate of 71%. And one of those losers was a final fence faller. This all showcases, I think, what low frequency, high strike rates, small point bank betting looks like. And needless to say, but I'm going to, members of Mel's first class racing service have been pretty happy with the results that he's provided them. For example, Pat Ryan says it's been an absolute pleasure to have joined this group and find such an honourable man, honest and full of knowledge, which he willingly shares with us. He's, of course, talking about Mel. Hammond says, I really appreciate the selections and the write-ups and the post-race analysis. And most importantly, I really appreciate you, Mel. Ronnie Taylor says, the bank has never been threatened, and I'm not just happy, but I'm ecstatic at this level of return. I'll share some more member feedback later on. Right now, though, it's time to bring in Mel. So are you there, Mel? Can you hear me? Let me get rid of this slideshow. There you are. I can...
And there we are.
Oh, there we go.
Hi, Duncan.
I hope that intro did you justice, Mel.
It did. I am blushing slightly, but we'll put up with that.
So could everybody in the chat just let us know if you can see and hear Mel? As I said, there's a slight delay in the chat of about 10 seconds, so we'll just wait and see what people say. How are you doing today, Mel? You all right?
Yeah, very good. Had a good day.
Yeah.
Started off this morning early with looking through another sport, then a good 2 hours blown away any cobwebs, getting refreshed on what's known as Cannock Chase up here in Staffordshire, and then back and got ready for yourself. The important bit, you.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Our date at 7 p.m. with everyone. So I'm going to pitch a couple of questions to you, and then we're going to open it up to the audience. So we're going to the questions I've got are, who are you for people who haven't met you before? A little bit about your strategy and what sets you apart. And then I thought we'd throw in a question about Cheltenham as well, and your approach to that, because we've got that coming up soon. So it looks like, everyone's saying they can hear and see you. So Mel, who are you? And how long have you been betting? And give us a bit of background.
Okay. I'm no one special. I'm just
immediately
what I like to I just like to term it, I'm just a boy from the sticks who, thank heavens, back in the very early 70s, was treated to a gentleman called Lester Piggott and a horse called Nijinsky back in 1970. And it was their exploits together that kindled my interest in horse racing. I knew horse racing existed, but didn't do anything for me, never watched it really. But I did know of Lester Piggott. He was then and now still a household name. Back in 1970, as a 3-year-old, Nijinsky completed what's known as the Triple Crown, which is winning the 2,000 guineas, the Derby, and the St. Leger. And it's those exploits that year that caught my imagination. I'm just starting to shiver now because I've just gone back 50 years. It just ignited my passion for horse racing. Was I a betting man in those days? No, not at all. But I was now alive to horse racing. The following year, 1971, that's when there was no turning back for me. A little horse called Mill Reef came and won our Derby, and if I can remember rightly, was the first horse for 23 years to cross the channel and win the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. So from that moment, I wanted to learn about horse racing, and betting wasn't part of the learning that I
Right. Okay.
wanted to do.
So you got interested in the sport first, and then horse racing. Just Terry's put in the chat that his first winning bet was on Lester Piggott too, on Popsy's Joy.
I remember Popsy's Joy very well, and I can almost, oh goodness, I can almost remember the trainer, but it won't just come to me. Perhaps, who said that? Terry.
Yeah.
Perhaps Terry can remind me. I want to say Haynes, but I know that that's wrong. But yes, I remember Popsy's Joy very well.
So when did the betting start for you?
Oh, much, much later, beyond the 70s. When I got this interest in horse racing, and I do look back now as it being a lucky thing, that money was of very short supply. So the thought of having a bet never entered my head. But my attention was turned to jockeys. I better put them in the order. My attention was turned firstly to the horses, then the jockeys, then the trainers, then the owners, then the courses. And the amount of learning just in those 5 things is immense.
Yeah.
When you start from knowing nearly nothing, every day the learning curve is almost 90 degrees. But I loved it. I just could not get enough of it. And almost my every waking hour was reading something about horse racing. Remember back in those days, 70, 71, such things as your personal computer, a PC. We didn't have them. They weren't there. Such things as iPad, iPhone, laptop, just wasn't there. So everything was either from a hard copy, which in those days was the Sporting Life, and for the older members of our chat room, the Sporting Chronicle, which I would have loved to have bought, but it was expensive. It was, I don't know how much it cost, probably 2 and 6pence, which is like 12.5p today. But it was an outlay that I couldn't do, and that would be every day. So I just couldn't afford that. So I did spend time in bookmakers asking for the sheets that they would have behind the counter that weren't pinned up on the boards. And then at the end of the day's racing, I would ask for the sheets off of the boards, and I had a newspaper. And truthfully, that's how it used to be. Racing on TV was possibly, if we were lucky, and it was a good meeting, you might get 2 or 3 races on a Thursday afternoon, BBC, and then you'd get 3 or 4 races, grandstand for those that can remember that TV. And so you were very limited to what you could watch. But that, for me, added to the mystery, the mystique of horse racing.
So it's been a multi-decade passion for you, and if you had to give people a kind of bird's eye view of your strategy, your approach to racing, and what you feel separates you from other kind of punters out there, can you do that?
I can, yes. Let me just think. I will say I could not do what I do today had I not, through the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, gone through thousands upon thousands of hard copies, Sporting Life, trying to find winners in handicaps, trying to work out trainer jockey combinations, trying to work out the advantage or otherwise of the draw, and I'm just talking flat racing now. The going, I had no idea what good to firm really meant, or good to soft or heavy, but it was there and it would appear. And so through, I don't know, 30 years of not winning, but yeah, it's true. Well, the thing is, Duncan, if you want to be a plumber, you'll find someone who's already a plumber, will teach you the skills. No doubt there's a tech college course or university course, I don't know, on plumbing. Similarly, and a manual. Similarly, with if you want to be an electrician, a car mechanic, there will be people who can do it and do it very well. And there will be manuals to read, and you'll learn your subject matter. With horse racing, and particularly with winning from betting on horse racing, to the best of my knowledge, there isn't a book written that actually performs to what I term worthwhile stakes. Yes, there's books out there and say, follow this, follow that. Books, I'm going back 40 years more. There was a book called, I think it was called Find Form, and they used to work on the figures that the horse had produced over its last 2 or 3 runs, adding in course and distance. But of course, when you just look at form figures, a 1 could be a Derby win, or it could be a selling plate win. You know, the best and the worst. When you look at that 1, it doesn't determine what it is. Similarly with a 2 or a 3. But I had to go through all of those sorts of system checking and system finding to find out they don't work. They don't. Over time, they do not work, and they certainly don't work with worthwhile stakes, because they have long losing runs. And if you're betting in £1 or £2, whatever, you might be able to stomach a long losing run, but really nobody likes to lose. But
so this is what I think separates your betting. You know, I'm in your Telegram community. I watch what you're doing, and the discipline you kind of impart on the members is it's like a kind of a learning thing. You know, it's an education in discipline, essentially, like biding your time, and really, like, it's a huge benefit, I think, for a lot of people. You know, people having to adjust, you know, they separate that gambling from betting, basically.
Indeed. And the people that are with me, Duncan, are me. Yesterday, I've done all of betting every day in every race at every meeting and lost. I've tried to then go, well, perhaps I won't bet on this particular racetrack or that particular day, and still lost, because I come back. There's not a manual, to my knowledge, that's written that will say, do this and you will win worthwhile amounts of money. I've never seen that manual. And if there's anyone listening and they've got a manual that they're using and winning fortunes, please get in touch.
We'll keep quiet about
it. But I couldn't have gone through all what I went through, which a lot of these people in our chat room now are possibly still going through, which is betting regularly, daily, and losing. I've done it more times than I really dare or like to confess to. But without it, I wouldn't be where I am now. It's been an evolution. Racing has not stood still. Over the last 2 years, there's major changes. For example, the types of races that were always available, and I found reasonably good places to start to learn where winners might come from, were maiden races, 2-year-old maiden, 3-year-old maiden. They've all but gone. all
Right.
but
Okay.
gone. And they were, instead of maidens, we had novice stakes races. I tried desperately to get my head around novice stakes races. Can't do it. So I don't bet in novice stakes
So
races.
what do you focus on? What is the focus for first class racing bets?
Right. For first class racing, the evolution has gone to that I only look at class one races. So a class one race on the flat would be group one, group two, group three, and listed races.
Mm.
And on national hunt racing, it would be grade one, grade two, grade three, and listed. But the big plus, as they say, one door closes, another one opens. The big plus of leaving all the maths behind and concentrating on class one is the new open door was not only that I was working on races in the UK, but it opened the door to Ireland and it opened the door to France. So it's tremendous. That's my focus. Class one races in the UK, in Ireland, in France, both national hunt and flat. Mostly the turf, although, if you excuse me looking away, on the 30th of November last year, William Haggas popped a little filly over to Deauville, and it wasn't very liquid, but most of us got 2-1, 15-8, and 7-4, and it just did handsprings, and it was so nice to see that it was such an obvious one to me. So gave it to my clients, and it was a lovely winner.
Yeah, I was going to ask you for an example, but you beat me to it. So with the, I'm going
I've
to
got a
ask you.
better example.
Oh, go on then, get another one.
Yeah, if I can get another, I didn't know I was going to tell you about the Deauville race.
No, cool. Yeah.
But right, I've got some idiot sheets here.
Okay.
Because what I like, Duncan, is to talk about today. I don't want to talk about 3 years ago I had my best whatever, because you've got to be winning today.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll give you the date if I can find it. The 5th of February. So it's only just over 10 days ago. In Ireland, there was a grade one race. There was only 6 runners. Now, for those in the chat room, they will know, I'm sure, Willie Mullins, who he could train a stable cat to win a race. He is so very good.
Yeah.
And this 6-runner race, he had 5 of those runners. But the one horse that I wanted was trained by Gordon Elliott, and it was called Mighty Potter. This was at Leopardstown. And when the betting opened, it was 5-4. Now, some in the chat room might already think, oh, goodness, only 5-4. Yeah, 5-4 is a big price when you know, A, you're on the best horse, and B, our strike rate, at the moment, it's running at 54%. But
I got it wrong in the intro. Sorry, I undersold you.
Yeah, well, you see, it evolves. Everything evolves. We rarely dip below 47, 48%. Rarely. At the minute we're at 54, but just call it 50%.
But that's because the average for a horse racing is in the 20s, isn't it? I'd say.
Yeah, most tipsters, if they could get 22%, 23%, they'd be thinking I'm doing really well.
Yeah,
and they are. But the caveat to that is if you're achieving 22, 23%, the laws of probability, it's not my say so, the laws of probability are that with that success rate, 22, 23%, you're going to get somewhere like a 17-21 losing streak, 17 to 21 consecutive losers. That's highly probable. And the thing to remember with that, you might say have 5 losers, get a winner. Hey, lovely. Then you get this 17 losers and you get your winner. Great. But then you might have another 17 losers before you get 2 or 3 or 4 winners on the trot. And that, it kills everyone, does a losing run.
Yeah, psychologically, it's just so hard to deal with for most people, I think.
Indeed. Anyway, just going back to our mighty Potter, it was us against 5 of Willie Mullins. In my opinion, those 5 had everything to prove. Mighty Potter was the best. And if he turned up at the racecourse, if he jumped, big ifs, that's why we got 5 to 4. I felt he would be good for us. And he won very, very easily, 8.5 lengths, just pulling a cart, as we say. But that's the sort of bet that I look for. And if I do like analogies, and I used this last year or maybe the year before on First Class Racing. People say, how do you do it? How are you looking at form, whatever? And I said, imagine nearly all of us has a fruit bowl. And in that fruit bowl, you'll find bananas, oranges. I'm looking at mine, lemon, apples, to remind me. But we all have that. What I'm doing, I'm looking, and the joke was I was looking for a kiwi fruit. Right, and not every fruit bowl has a kiwi fruit.
Mine would have a kiwi fruit, I think, yeah. But...
There you go. Well, there's your winner. So that's what I'm doing, really. I'm looking at the best horses in the best races. And from my interpretation of the form book, I'm looking to determine what I believe is the best horse.
Yeah.
And we're getting it right better than 50% at an average price.
Oh yeah, we just got a question of that. Desmond literally just asked, what's your average price?
Right, great. The average price is just under 7 to 4, which in foreign money is 2.75. But I'm sure there are lots of people in the chat room that know their maths. And if you're if you're selecting 50% or better at 1.75, 2.75, 7 to 4, it's just a nice, relaxing walk to the bank.
Like the walk you had today, yeah? Just
like the walk I had today. But that's how it is, Duncan. You know, this is where I'm at. This is where many of First Class Racing members are. And I do try to say to them, and that lots have learned, that we are not anything about 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 bets a day, every day. No, we don't do that. We are, on average, 1 bet a week. And the reason, good bets are not there every day. Good bets are not there always every week. We have to wait. That's it. Very important point. I reached a point where I said to myself, you've lost enough now.
Yeah.
So you've got 2 choices. You've lost enough money. Either walk away from betting on horses or sort yourself out. I sorted myself out.
I think,
and
I was going to say,
sorry, go on.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's just, for a lot of members, it seems transformative, like adopting your mentality to betting, that discipline. You know, it's, you know, people struggle at first to get it, but when they do, you know, and they see that they can actually make money from betting over the long term, you know, it is transformative for a lot of people that have been betting for, you know, many years. What we're going to do, Mel, is I'm going to ask you a quick question about the Cheltenham Festival. but we're going to
Yes.
open up questions to the audience. We've got a few coming in already. So there's this, as I said, there's a slight delay on the chat. So if you get your questions in now, you can ask Mel anything you like about his betting history, the strategy, first class racing, his fruit bowl, whatever you like.
Kiwi fruit.
So we've got a few questions, but first I just want to ask Mel. So the Cheltenham Festival is coming up. I think last year you got a strike rate of like 71% over the festival period.
Yes.
How do you approach the festival? Because I guess it's easy to get carried away with festival season.
Yeah, it is. And I approach any festival, and there are several, both National Hunt and on the flat. I approach every festival exactly as I approach every race meeting throughout the calendar.
Okay.
And that is the first thing that I wait for is the calendar, and I then highlight all of the class 1, 2 and 3 races. The class 1 races, group 1, 2, 3 and listed. I highlight all the class 1 races, and then I wait for the entries to be made. Now, with Cheltenham, entries are made way ahead because it's a festival. Am I interested at that point? Way ahead? Nope, not at all, other than an interest in the racing. But I am by no means thinking, oh, I'll have that one, I'll wait for that one. Not at all. And the reason is it's happened today or yesterday. Again, Willie Mullins, the horse called Allaho. That was aimed at, I forget which one, Ryanair. It's been pulled out. It's sick. There's another one today that's been pulled out of the Mares' Hurdle. It's too early. Form study, the way I do it, takes too long to waste time on horses that may not even turn up. So Cheltenham, I will be looking at now as the entries are coming in. Then declaration time is the time when I sit down and do the proper work. Declarations tell me how many horses are in the race, which horses are in the race. I've usually got an idea of the going prior to the day of the race, but I'm on weather watch as well because the going could change my mind, as in no bet 3 days later on if there is a change in the weather. So it's entries first, declaration second, everything checked, particularly the going, and then I've either got a selection or I haven't. And if I haven't, right, that's a race that I'm very happy to watch, enjoy, money in my pocket, hands in my pocket, no bet. The question I always get asked, and I got asked last year prior to Cheltenham, how many selections do you think we'll have at Cheltenham? Well,
yeah.
Right. And I said to them, this is members of First Class Racing, I said to them, we will either have naught or perhaps 1 or 2 or perhaps 3 or 4. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, because you're approaching it like you're every week betting kind of thing. So you're not getting too excited because it's a festival, that kind of thing. You're just steadily approaching it, I guess.
Indeed. And you have to remember, a newspaper like the Racing Post, today's Racing Post, there's more bets in there, anti-post bet here, anti-post bet there. Well, the people giving these bets in the Racing Post today, several things they don't do. One, they don't tell you what their starting bank is, but they'll tell you to have 1 point on this, a point each way here, but you don't know what their starting bank is. So if you don't know what the starting bank is, you don't know what the stake is to the 1 point. And moreover, you don't know whether the person is really betting it. He's being paid by the Racing Post in order to produce copy in order for the Racing Post reader to read.
Yeah.
That's not me. I don't have to do that. My income is racing and a commission from members. That's my income. It isn't from the writing for the Racing Post or whatever.
So your money is where your mouth is, essentially.
Yeah.
So we have got a few questions in the chat. So if any, keep plugging your questions in the chat, everyone, and we can ask Mel whatever you like. So Stefan asks, any odds on selections?
Yes. Yes, there are. But just remember, our average win price is just short of 7-4, 2.75. The lowest priced horse that I will advise members, but I make sure that it's achievable before I send it out. The lowest price would be 1 to 2. Then it's any range from 1 to 2, which is 1.5. We have had 3 winners at 4 to 1, 5.0. We've had winners at 3 to 100 to 30, 4.0, 4.33. So the span is from 1 to 2 to, at the moment, 4 to 1. If that helps.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So yeah, just to answer Dave's question, will there be a recording of this event? There will go out tomorrow. We'll email it to everyone so you can rewatch, listen to Mel talk about his fruit bowl again. So the next question we've got is Ian says, at the prices you are punting at, I think it's the hardest area to make a profit. What's your response to that, Mel?
I and all my clients make a profit. We're in profit this year. We're in profit last year. And those before that were with me were in profit the year before. Rest my case.
I guess it's the discipline and the strike rate, isn't it? That makes
it is. Yeah, I don't want to be flippant. Was that Ian, did you say?
Yeah.
Ian, I don't mean to be flippant, Ian, but I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly how to do what I'm doing. Horses are at the front of the market for a reason. Often they're at the front because they're the best horses, but that doesn't mean they'll win. There is so much. I'm quick. This is off the top of my head to try to tell you. Right, the things that go into it, it's class, it's going, it's weight, it's age, it's form, it's jockey, it's trainer. I mean, there's 7 things there. Any one of those, if it's out of sync in the way I interpret the form book, it's not a selection, it's not a bet from me. And I'll just say to you, Ian, we are better than 50% strike rate. Sometimes we'll drop maybe 47%, but our average win price is 2.75, there or thereabouts. And we've been in profit for the last 3 years since I changed to Class 1 racing.
And the kind of numbers add up. So just to answer Graham's question, this is on the service side. So yeah, as Josh has confirmed in the chat, there's a 30 or 60 day money back guarantee depending on what membership option you pick. But I can talk everyone through that in a little bit.
Can I just say something? Josh will answer that fully, and probably Josh will do it admin wise. That yes, there is 30 day, 60 day, and it's no quibble. But I want to reiterate. I won't reiterate. I'll give you an absolute shining example of a few years ago. I had a client, new client, and he joined me, 30-day money back guarantee, no quibble. I gave 3 selections in about 2 weeks. So not very many, 3. And I do know this. He had a winner at even money, a winner at 11 to 10, and a winner at 9 to 4.
Mm.
And he cancelled his subscription. Right. Okay. I've got no problem. Money back. But I did ask why. And his answer was not enough bets.
Yeah.
So what I want to say to everyone in the chat room, if you're expecting bets every day, you will not get them.
Yeah.
If you're expecting bets every single week, I promise you it won't happen. Because winning from horse racing, from betting on horses, you cannot win every day, every week. And I try to encourage people to have a set of money, their bankroll, set aside, totally devoid from any calling.
Mm.
And we're playing with 20 points only. And you're going to have worthwhile size bets. And have
So this is yeah. So Glenn, I'm going to fire a few questions at you because Glenn has asked, and this fits nicely. Oh, it's just gone down the chat. What stakes do you advise to your members?
I would suggest, Glenn, a minimum £1,000 bank. So you're starting off on £50 stakes. That's what I would advise. And I'd be pretty sure that A, your subscription will be covered. B, there would be something left over for yourself. Now, we've got clients in first class racing that I'm not sure whether I'm right into their 3rd year, but as they've gone along, they've listened to what I've said, they've seen the results, they've made money. They haven't taken their money out. They've put it into their bankroll and gradually they've increased their stakes.
Mm.
So the annual fees, the quarterly fees don't go up. They stay the same, but they're making more money. So the fees are paid for and there's a little bit more after that. But I didn't start where I'm at now. You know, you don't get to the top of the ladder straight away. Yeah. There's always that first rung of the ladder. So please, anybody thinking that they're going to make $1 million from me in their first year, well, I hope you do, but
it's a long-term approach that people can steadily crank up their stakes as they feel more comfortable.
I've had to, so I'm afraid everyone else will have to do the same.
So somebody asked, who was it? David says, is there a previous results list? And BetChat Josh has put the full track record, a link to the full track record in the chat for anybody that's interested. So we've got a question from Anthony, and he says, are you profitable to BFSP if bookies do not play ball? Is that Betfair's?
That's Betfair SP. My honest answer, which I'll always try to be honest, always, is I don't know. We've all suffered with the bookmakers, closing accounts and so on. We've all tried various ways of getting around it, friends, family, opening up accounts.
Yeah.
All my betting I advise is with a best odds guaranteed bookmaker if possible. But what I would say, if you're struggling with bookmakers, traditional bookmakers, when you get the advice from me and you need to use Betfair, don't take SP. Take the best price that you can find that someone is offering you, or, you know, ask for a tick or 2 ticks better. So I would not go Betfair SP, but I'm certain that you wouldn't be too disappointed with what's offered on Betfair. the prices that are offered.
Yeah, that's Ellie asked the same question. That's okay, Ellie. Hopefully, Mel gave an honest answer there, so hopefully that helped somewhat. I think, it's an issue that everybody is facing across the spectrum, really, isn't it? You know,
Everybody,
yeah,
and
bookmakers are
there's
not
more to
playing
come.
fair.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I've had 1,001 arguments with bookmakers because selfishly I want them to take my bets because I want to take their money. But then I sometimes sit back and think, hang on, if I had a bookmaking business and this fellow kept coming in and winning, would I ban him? Maybe I would. So there are ways around it, and Betfair Exchange, the best price you can see after I've given the advice, would be a way forward.
Yeah. I missed this question from Brian earlier, so sorry, Brian. He says, do you just bet 1 point at a time?
Right. Yes, 1 point at a time. Now, if I've got something that just niggles me a little bit, but not enough for me not to bet, I would drop it to a 0.5 point. But usually, the vast majority of bets are 1 point win. Now, if it's a very competitive race, I would look to see if I can get 3 or 4 places on the Betfair Exchange. And in which case we would have 1 point win and 1.5 points place at Betfair SP. So the outlay would be 2.5 points. I don't believe in all the time we've been going that it has ever been more than 2.5 points staked. So these are the parameters. If I've got a niggle, it's a 0.5 point win. If I'm good to go, it's 1 point win, or it might be 1 point win, 1.5 points place, and there is one other which is a 0.5 point win and 1 point place. But we have never bet more than 2.5 points on one single bet, and I don't foresee any reason or any scenario that would make me want to bet more than 2.5 points. So you can take it's between 0.5 and 2.5 points max, mostly 1 point win.
Yeah. So that answers the question thoroughly, I think so. John just says, we all need to recognise that 98% of racing punters make a loss, especially those that don't even keep records. Of the 2% winners, almost none are full-time professionals. That places what Mel is offering in context, a good context, I think. Just some positive words from John there.
Yeah, I think that's a tremendous write-up there, because John's already said it. I was going to say it had he not. And that is, of those 2%, you are quite right. How many of the 2% make a worthwhile profit? I don't know the answer to that, but it won't be the complete 2%. But your facts and figures and thoughts, I agree entirely with.
So David brought up a point, and BetChat Josh has answered it in the chat, but it might be worth just talking about out loud. He says at 50% strike rate at an average of 7-to-4 odds, the bets have to be pretty substantial to show a decent profit. £10 to £20 bets wouldn't show a big profit. And Josh has pointed out that, your average stake is maybe about £50 and the starting bank is 20 points. So maybe you just sort of reiterate the structure that you kind of recommend.
You're absolutely right. 10 and £20 bets are not going to make a great profit. I'm just thinking of the best way to put this. I did say earlier that my suggestion is a minimum of a £1,000 bank set aside, totally devoid from any calls, any domestic calls whatsoever, which means you're betting in £50. We have members that started at £25. I know some are up to 100, some are up beyond 100. And again, I go back to the ladder scenario. You've got to start somewhere, and the first rung of the ladder is always the best place. You see, so many people want to bet every day. I did. I don't now, because I know I'm going to lose. And I would suggest, and I mean this very respectfully, I don't know any of you in the chat room, but I would suggest if one or two of you make a worthwhile profit long term, 12 months, I'd be surprised. And the reason is you're doing what I used to do and what most people do. And that's betting in smaller stakes, 3 or 4 bets a day, or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 a week. And I'm sorry, but you are not going to win. Anyone wants to challenge me on that and write to me and say, look, this is what I do, 5-8. Great, because you know what I'll do? I'll join you. But I've never found anyone. And I promise you out there, right, I don't tell lies. I don't need to tell lies in my life, which is wonderful. And I promise you that in over 50 years of being in every nook and cranny of this racing world, this wonderful racing world that I love, I've never met anyone or been introduced to anyone that makes a worthwhile profit betting on horses. I promise you that. And I've owned horses outright. I've owned them in syndicates. I've owned them in shares of horses. I know trainers. I'm going to a trainer on Saturday. He's got yearlings to show, wants me to have a horse. I've known him since he got going in 2016. He's never, ever said to me, this will win on Monday. This will win on Thursday. Never. And I'm not going to reel out other trainers' names, but I've been in the company of, when I say in the company, I mean out to dinner or in their home, not just hello on a race course. I don't know, 35, 40 trainers. Not one has ever said to me, get your money on this. And if they did, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's there is so many myths and so many stories, and it's. Have I got time to tell a story? I'll be quick.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And
Right.
then we've got a question just related to membership, subscription costs, and the starting bank. But I'll talk people through the different membership options in a minute. But yeah, I'll pitch Andy's question to you because he's talking about, you know, the size of the bank compared to membership costs. But I think we talk about cranking up your staking over time. But yeah, sorry, your story.
Yeah, just a story about trainers, what they say. It's way back when, 35, maybe 40 years ago. I was with a Newmarket trainer. The reason I was with him is I had a share in the horse with him. I'm not going to mention his name. We were at Worcester National Hunt over hurdles, and there might have been 6 or 7 from a small syndicate, all saying to him, what's he going to do tonight? Are we going to win tonight? Can he win tonight? What do you think? And I was learning my trade here, so I'd got an idea of this horse. My idea was it ought to be not exert itself too much because it really ought to be up early next morning with the milk. That was my thoughts of this horse we had. And the trainer said to our small group, he said, if this horse doesn't win tonight, it was an evening meeting at Worcester. If this horse doesn't win tonight, it will never, ever win a race. Now, just think about that, what he said. They were his words. And suddenly these people in the syndicate said, he's just said if he doesn't win tonight, he'll never win. Tonight's the night. And I'm thinking, you foolish people. This horse cannot win. And so the trainer is quite right. If he doesn't win tonight, he'll never win a race. I mean, this was about 40 years ago. I'm not certain whether the horse has got back to the stables yet. You know, it was so far beaten, really. But these are stories, and, you know, stories like that get embellished. So, no, I trust one person's judgment only, and that's my own, and my trainers. Which is, pardon?
So, and the process, you know, your process of finding
and my process, yeah.
So Andy says, so this is to do with this starting bank and membership costs. So he says, hi Mel, so with a minimum £1,000 bank, if the bank doubled in a year at level stakes, the profit clearly depends on the service cost. So the profit is minimal. Shouldn't the starting bank be more, really? And would you recommend ratcheting the stake by recalculating the bank at each new high? And then he also says, clearly, I don't know the subscription cost yet, but I'll talk people through that in a moment.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not certain of the subscription cost per annum, but if you made £1,000, if you started with £1,000 and at the end of the year you had 2,000, a portion of that will go to subs. I'm pretty certain, I've got to be careful, but I would say more than half will be profit in your back pocket. And the next thing I would say is, I would ask you to ask yourself and to answer honestly, when was the last time a tipster doubled your money in 12 months?
And then gave you the confidence after that 12 months. Because I think, you know, when you learn the discipline like others are in the group, after that 12 months, to have the confidence to ratchet up the stakes, or you know, it doesn't have to be 12 months, it could be 3 months, 6 months, whatever.
Right. I'd like to say something now, and it's just coming into my head. I've loved my sport of horse racing for over 50 years. I was a loser at betting for over 30 years. That's what I'll say to you. And I've just forgotten what I was going to say. Right, I've just remembered. Because of all the tipsters, all the systemites, these people that come up with systems, you know, they've got what do they call it? A database. They put all sorts of parameters in the database. Yo, I've got a system. It's rubbish. I've done hundreds of systems, and they're in the same bin as all the other systems that I bought from systemites. They're all in that same bin marked rubbish. Now, I did say to you, I reached a point when I had lost enough money to sort myself out, get some discipline, both in the money management and also selection method. In 2011, and computers for me in 2011 were still quite new, didn't really have much of a need for them, but there was lots of things going on online, chat rooms and the likes of racing. That's all I was interested in. And so in 2011, I started doing something like this, not with a video, just typing away whatever. And then I started to put a bet up, would have a win, put another one up, would have a win. And I suddenly started to get a following. It's like, who's this Mel G? And this was in 2011. And then somebody in this chat room said, you should start a service. And he said, I would pay £100 a month for your service. Well, I'm sure all of you can imagine the lights that were flashing, and I thought, why don't I? Why don't I create a service? And I did, or I got other people to do a website for me and what have you. And in 2012, I went public, MelG public, own website. I had clients coming in, and we did reasonably well. And then, as I said earlier on, the racing calendar changed, and it made my life very, very difficult. But it was a great thing in 2012 because I thought, I can do this. I can do it honestly. Keep everything honest. Don't give anyone a chance to say, but you said, you promised. Nothing like that. Keep it honest. And that was 2012. I'm not sure how many years later, perhaps 4 years later, Josh, who Duncan refers to,
Bet chat Josh.
Bet chat Josh. I met Josh, I don't know, about 2016, 17, because my problem was I didn't know how to get clients. Josh did. So we got together through his previous company, and suddenly I was launched. I've got clients, happy days. And I thought, always my mission statement, if that's the right thing to use, is that I will prove that winning from horse race betting can be done, and it can be done honestly. So 2012, I went live. About 2016, I collaborated with Josh, and it's now 2023. So I'm 11 years as me doing what I do. And I, have a look around. How many are still going 11 years later, making a profit? I've never had anyone point a finger at me, and I don't intend it to happen. I sleep at night. I'm very happy, and I love what I do.
So I think that's a great thing, a great message to finish on. The Q&A part.
No,
not as in like stop betting.
Finish. I'm just getting warmed up.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna take people through the membership options in a moment, give them the chance to join. Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before you disappear, Mel?
Yes, just to say thank you very much for giving me your time tonight. I don't know how long we've been going.
We've been going an hour. That's why I'm.
Is that all, an hour? Right.
Are you ready? You can do 4, can you?
Yeah, I could. This is, next to my wife, the next thing that I love the most, and so I could keep going until I would be last man standing, I promise. So thanks everybody for giving up your time for this evening. I promise you nothing beyond honesty, the knowledge that I have, which others don't have, because they have not trod the path that I have trod. I can promise you that those of you that have asked for the spreadsheet with the results, I can promise hand on heart, every single bet that I've offered is there. Every price that I offer, I make certain best I can is achievable for all. And nobody gets a selection from me unless I have already put my money with a bookmaker on that horse. So if I haven't bet, you don't get the selection. There's no difference from my ledger and your ledger in terms of horse selection. And that I promise you. And if you join us, welcome, join, a lot of other people that have changed their way in betting and changed their thoughts. Welcome. If you don't join us for whatever reason, thanks for being here. I wish you every success in what you do. And if you do find someone successful, please share with me. So
Come back
thanks.
for the next Q&A. And
Are we doing another? Well, I'd love
Yeah, I
to do
think so.
another Q&A. I'd love
Well,
it.
if anyone has any more questions for Mel, you can, if you email clients at thebetchat.com, we'll pass them on to Mel.
Yeah, I'll answer them.
So we're going to say
happily.
goodbye, and thank you very much for your time this evening, Mel. I'm going to walk everyone through the membership options, but we're going to make you disappear before that.
Okay. Thanks, Duncan. Been a pleasure.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mel. So let me just bring up some details for everybody. So everybody should be able to see. I've just put together a small slideshow to walk you through the membership details. So everyone should be able to see that. So thank you everyone for taking part in the Q&A. I love talking to Mel because he could just, as he said, he can just talk about horse racing for hours. And I think you can tell just by talking to him, he's the real deal. You know, he has knowledge and experience, and like he said, over a decade worth of making money for his clients. If you're still watching, that can only mean one thing. You're interested in becoming a member, or you might be interested in becoming a member of First Class Racing. So we covered a lot of the details of how the service works in the Q&A, and it's pretty straightforward. So you may just want to go ahead and join Mel right away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the membership link. So it should come up near the chat if you want to join. So that should be there just above the chat. And what I'm going to do now is, for anyone who's still on the fence, I'm going to walk you through the details of membership over the next few minutes. We're going to cover what you get, recommended starting bank sizes, the price of admission, and why we're putting a 25-person limit on new memberships today. So without further ado, let's get stuck into that. You get two main things with your First Class Racing membership. You get Mel's tips and access to the First Class Racing Telegram community. And by the way, I'm going to answer any questions anyone has after I've talked through what you get with your membership. So first up, let's have a look at Mel's tips, which just a little reminder, over the last 18 months have more than doubled his members' money. Mel's tips are delivered via Telegram and the website, so you can go there to find Mel's tips, but Telegram is probably more convenient. It's just an app on your phone. And his approach, as we've discussed, is low frequency. So you can expect a tip once or twice a week on average, but sometimes it can be longer. That said, just calling them tips or selections doesn't really cover what Mel... Oops, sorry, just check my slides there. Just calling them tips or selections doesn't really cover what Mel does, because as we talked about, he really goes above and beyond with his write-ups. He explains exactly why he's recommending a bet on a particular horse, and perhaps more importantly, why he's sitting out if he is. This is an aspect of the service, learning discipline, that Mel's members get a lot from. As David Edmonds says, brilliant write-up, Mel. It's the educational side of your posts that make us all better bettors in the long run. And David Hughes agrees, saying, what a write-up, Mel, and more discipline embedded in us all. Another huge benefit of Mel's approach is he's betting on horses where the prices generally hold. Member Chris Marlowe explains it well, saying, the good news is because we are backing in Class 1 races with more liquidity in the market, the prices hold for longer, which also means the track record is realistic for the average punter. And as BetChat Josh said in the chat, it means you can often get similar prices on Betfair, which is great. In fact, member David Edmonds says this is the most transparent service I've ever used. The published results spreadsheet is accurate and very closely mirrors what I've actually returned. So that's Mel's tips kind of covered. In summary, you can expect thoroughly well-researched tips once or twice a week, or maybe a little bit longer, from Mel via Telegram or posted on the website, alongside regular write-ups where Mel explains his reasoning for getting stuck into an event or sitting out, and realistic odds the average punter can actually get on. And a education in betting discipline, which will serve you well during your time with Mel and just about any other betting venture you have going forward. So next up, we have the First Class Racing Telegram community. This is a huge part of the service. As you've seen throughout this entire Q&A, I've been constantly pulling quotes and screenshots from the community. It's a place where you can celebrate winners together. Like when David let everyone know that Mel's bets had paid for his wife's birthday meal, saying what a great way to celebrate it, spending the bookies' money on a thoroughly good meal. And as we just talked about, the community is great for helping members manage the psychological aspects of betting, like discipline too. Like when member Ronnie Taylor says, "Thank you for the early call, Mel. Discipline has been well and truly embedded following you." The community also gives you a level of access to Mel to ask questions or just engage in a bit of banter that you don't get with 100% sort of email or website-based services. And as you've seen today, he's a lovely guy who is keen to help you with your betting. Next up, let's talk starting bank sizes. We kind of covered this in the Q&A, but we'll just go over here. As we've covered, Mel recommends a 20-point starting bank. So to make this work, as Mel said, you'll want to start out with at least £1,000. This makes 1 point stakes about £50, 2 point stakes £100, and so on. Although, as Mel said, he rarely, if ever, goes above stakes of 2.5 points. As we discussed earlier, it's Mel's impressive win strike rate, which I think he said it was about 54% at the moment, and doesn't drop below sort of 47. That makes such a low point starting bank possible. £1,000 as a minimum starting bank size also means the numbers make sense when you factor in the price of the service. So what is the price of membership? You've got two membership options, quarterly membership at £199 and 97 pence, and annual membership at £599 and 97 pence, which compared to quarterly essentially gives you a discount of £199 and 91 pence, or for people who like percentages, a discount of 25%. Whichever membership option you pick, I think Mel's track record more than proves you're making a sound investment. As member David Hughes says, almost paid for my subscription and we're not even finished with September. Even better, you're not actually committing to anything when you sign up for First Class Racing today. And that's because your membership comes with BetChat's ironclad, indestructible money back guarantee, which is 30 days for quarterly membership and 60 days for annual membership. That way you can take Mel, his tips, and the community for a test, like a test drive. Simply come on in and see if you like it. And if you don't, no hard feelings and nothing lost. Just let the BetChat support team know you'd like a refund and they'll refund every penny. The support team is also there to answer any questions you might have about your membership. Now, this time around, we are putting a limit on new memberships. We're capping the number at 25. And that's for a very simple reason. Some of Mel's members are so confident in his bets, they're starting to stake pretty large sums. And while we've had no market moving problems yet, we've decided it's best to err on the side of caution. So that's why we're only taking on 25 new members for now. So that's it. I hope I've done a good enough job relating why Mel's service is so special and I think quite unique. As I say, the membership link for you to join First Class Racing should be by the chat window. So if you're ready to join Mel and the gang on his low frequency betting adventure, you can go ahead and start your membership now. And as I say, I'll stick around for 5 minutes or so, or just a few minutes to answer any questions any of you have about what I've just covered there. Once again, thank you everyone for coming along today. So I'll just have a look at the chat and see if there's any questions. So you can email questions to clients@thebetchat.com. And I'll stay around for a few minutes and answer anything I can. And if you click through the link that is shared that should be near the chat, it'll take you through to a secure order form. Everything you get in your membership and the offer we've put together today, the discount that you can get on annual membership, that's all listed there. So you can click through to read that in text form. We'll also send a link out by email later. So I see, thank you, Josh, for answering lots of questions in the chat while I walked everyone through that. Yeah, so in terms of starting bank and profit, when you take into account subs, I guess one way to think about the service is it's a long-term investment. You know, if you stick with Mel's been doing it for over a decade with a consistent track record. If you kind of get your feet wet with him for the first sort of 3-6 months or maybe a year, and then you start to ratchet up your stakes, like Mel said, how many punters are able to double your money in a year? Yeah, again, same thing, Stephen, I guess. And some of Mel's members, as we said, started out with a smaller bank and then kind of crank it up over time. Okay, well, thank you for attending, Ellie. Appreciate it. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'll try and answer them now. Or you can email clients@thebetchat.com. Yeah, I think some aspects of the service are going to make it not right for some people. But those are also, I think, the aspects that do make it unique and do make it that kind of long-term service you can invest in. As I said before, there's a slight delay on the chat, so it takes about 10 to 20 seconds for me to see a message. So I'll just keep hanging around just in case anyone's got anything to ask. There is as I said, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee on quarterly membership and a 60-day money-back guarantee on annual membership. So if you wanted to join and kind of see what's going on in the group, see some of Mel's write-ups for yourself, maybe before you even start putting any bets on, just get a feel for the service, you can do that. Mel is also in the Telegram chat, like I said, so he's there to kind of bounce ideas off of and that kind of thing. It looks like we might not have any questions. I'll hang around for a couple more minutes. And thank you everyone for attending tonight. Whether, like Mel said, whether you join or not, hopefully it's been useful to kind of have the opportunity to ask a long-term professional punter some questions and see how he does it. Thanks, Beck. Just got my eyes on the chat, just eagle-eyed, waiting for anything to pop up just in case. Give it another minute and then we'll call it quits. Okay, so if anybody does have any questions, just email clients@thebetchat.com. They can be about the service, about the membership options, Mel's track record, anything like that. We can share the full track record with you. Like we mentioned earlier, a replay will be going out tomorrow, so you can rewatch parts of the Q&A, recap stuff, anything you wanted to go back to. Thank you again for everyone for attending this evening, and thank you to Mel for his time, and thank you for the Bet Chat team for manning the chat. I hope everyone has a great rest of their evening. What day is it? It's Wednesday. Not the most exciting night, but okay. Thank you, everyone, and I'm going to say goodbye now. So, bye.